Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the rabbit hole V and C. Except for this week, we do not have V with us. We have a guest host named JP. Welcome, JP.
Thank you, Connie, for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you do a fill in. Episode 4, so pretty early in on the podcast. But I was looking up some stats today, and interestingly enough, we have listeners, of course, from the United States, Canada, Australia, the United Kingdom. So, hello, everyone.
Yes.
Japan, konnichiwa. We have some returning people who've been for a couple episodes in a row now. Ni hao, everyone from Singapore, Hungary, Netherlands. Hello.
Wherever you're from, thank you for listening.
Yeah, welcome and, yeah, thanks for listening. It's kinda neat, and I hope too, because 'cause I've heard this, that sometimes people listen because they wanna learn conversational English, and I will tell you right away that my accent is probably not the best one to learn conversational English because some sometimes I got a Midwest thing going on, so anyway, but I enjoy you listening,
They're
so
gonna be, what are these people talking about tonight? That's for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, what are we I hope you're learning lots of new vocabulary, so yeah, let's get to it. And JP, we rock scissors papered it out already, and your rock got my scissors. So, JP, the question is, do you think time travel is possible? And how do you think that would work?
I do think time travel is possible, but not in the sense that we can go back in time and see the dinosaurs or some historical event or something like that. I don't think that's possible. First of all,
Not like the not Bill and Ted for
no,
sure.
the past already happened. No, yeah, we're
Yeah.
not getting into any phone booths and picking up historical figures on the way back. No, I don't think so. But I do believe there is some type of time travel into the future per se. So
Okay.
think about this. Let's say we go to Hawaii, right? And we're coming back. And so from where I live, Hawaii is about an 11-hour flight total. So let's say
Okay.
Sunday we leave and I come back home and with whatever delays in airports that there may be, who knows? With that 11 hours and on top of the time change, it's already Tuesday or Tuesday morning. So in a sense, we went into the future.
Right.
Matter of fact, have you seen the movie Interstellar?
I have seen Interstellar. Great movie. Sometimes I feel like I'm not smart enough to like figure that all out, and I get it, but I don't get it.
Yeah, it hurts your brain, but in theory, Einstein's theory of relativity, or like if we were able to travel at the speed of light or close to the speed of light, right? So they say that not only does the faster you travel, time slows down, but also gravity has an effect on time. So, like in the movie, when they went to that one planet and it was so large and the gravity was so strong that they were there for, I don't know what it was, an hour and a half, but yet 7 years went by, or for
Yeah.
one or on the planet, there was 7 years. And by the time they got back to the ship, their partner on the ship was like, an old man. So
Yeah.
I,
Was that the one where was that when he was in the it was like the black hole? Or
yes,
maybe okay. Okay.
yeah, through
Right.
some kind of wormhole, some kind of black hole. So I do think in a sense, it is possible. They say even like the astronauts on the space station, their watches will be different from when they're up in space to
Yeah.
people who are back on Earth. So in that sense, yes, but I don't think that we can go back in time. There's stories. You heard the story about there was a guy by the name of John Titor back in the early 2000s that he called in or faxed into the Art Bell show Coast to Coast. Or back then it was Dreamland. I used to listen to him.
Okay.
Got me into listening to that back in the mid '90s, early '90s actually. But some guy who supposedly from the year 2036 went back in time to get some kind of a part from an IBM computer that his grandfather helped design
Hmm.
and get back to 2036. But he made all these predictions that didn't come true. There was a global nuclear war and, you know,
Yeah.
about all these different things. But some of the stuff that he posted about is kind of coming true.
Yeah.
In the future, there's going to be all user created content. There is going to be no more like bands or singers or movies in the movie theaters and things like that.
Yeah, it'll just be made by people like me and you and a computer. Or
Right.
maybe not even that, maybe just made by a computer, right?
Could be. But I mean, look,
Yeah,
I'm the guy that before I fall asleep, I'm clicking through YouTube, looking up all
yeah.
kind of, goofy videos, who had the bigger arms, Hulk Hogan or Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then, my wife usually walks in the room like, what in the world are you watching? Right. But it is. And who knows, with all this AI and everything, movies might be going out. So the guy might have been right. But there's been people over time that said, yeah, they can go into the future or into the past. And this John Titor said, like, you couldn't go, like, it was some kind of a military mission that he was on. And he said that
Yeah,
the General Electric invented time travel in the year 2036. So that's right around the corner. So who knows? He says that going into the year, there was like nothing past the year 2564 or something like that. It was just total
that's kinda
darkness,
scary.
right?
Oh,
So
I don't
if
like
we even
that.
get that far,
I mean,
25,
maybe
60,
that's
a long time away.
well, so not to get too off topic, so a couple weeks ago, right after episode 1, I kept seeing all this stuff about aliens, and there's the grays and the blues or something like that, and the whole premise behind why they're here or why they come is because the world is gonna end, and they need to make sure it happens so that their civilization is there in the future, because they traveled back in time to make sure it happens, which I think was like a I think you were talking about a movie that was kinda like that, but more in reference to, like, the JFK stuff, maybe, but
Yeah, what
yeah.
if there that's a theory too. And there was some video back in the 90s, again, late 90s, some alien interview where they supposedly at Area 51 or Area S4, one of those places out there,
Yeah,
interviewed this alien. He said he was a human from the future.
yeah,
So what are all these things flying around? Are they, either
just
our
humans
military
evolved.
spacecraft? Are they angels? Are they demons
Yeah,
through
they're
another
like
dimension?
yeah, what exactly are they? We don't know, but that's the thing too, like, every time I see these things, they're like, "Oh, well, yeah, they look kinda weird, but they basically are human form," right? And
Yeah.
so evolution, like the is it the Cro-Magnon man, right?
Hmm.
And then it follows up like ape through man through what we are today. I mean, we don't look like that anymore either.
Oh, I
So,
don't. We came from a gorilla,
but I'm
or
s right,
but
but as a
but
example,
we
like
like we do, yeah, today. We're much, we had long nails, scraggly hair, beards. You
yeah,
know, if I don't shave or cut my hair, I look like that now.
yeah,
So let alone cavemen. So yeah, I think you're right. As who knows as time goes on, we don't need this hair all over our bodies to protect from the cold and all that type of thing. So who knows what we'll look like 300 years from now, even.
yeah. So you just don't think that backwards time travel is you don't think that would be really possible then?
No, I've read things where, yeah, if you can through gravity bend space and time or theories like that. But no, I don't think like tonight, right? We're on this podcast. I don't think we're going to be able to say next week, oh man, I messed up. I think we got to go back and record it again. Right. I don't
Yeah.
think,
Right, yeah.
let me ask you this though. So what if, let's see, where were you in the year? Let's go. We're kind of close to the same age. Let's go in the year 2000. Okay. Without giving too much information, right? We don't
Okay.
want to give away any top secret information. But let's say I came back to you. Let's say I came from the future and I searched you out in the year 2000 and I said, Connie, now my name's JP. I'm from the year 2026. And in the future, you have a podcast and you had me as a guest one night and I started telling you some things about yourself. Would you believe me?
I mean, just talking like that, probably not, you know? I mean, like, whatever.
Mm.
You're just some guy who's like, "Oh, I know you in the future." Like, no, probably not.
Okay. Yeah, what if I was able to, tell you some sort of details? Like it works better with family, I think, too. Like I
But yeah,
aunt one time, I said, what if I came to you when you were in high school? And I said, I'm your nephew from the future and started telling you all these things, about what's gonna happen. or maybe if I
Yeah,
could share some things that are gonna happen, And usually, yeah, usually when I ask people that, they say, "No way, I think you're crazy." I wouldn't
yeah.
believe, but interesting concept, right?
So what do you think the key would be to make somebody believe you from the future then? Like, because I've seen even just recently trailers for like either like Netflix shows or Hulu or movies, and to get the person to really believe them, they're like, "Look, you're my mom's best friend, and she told you that her and your mother went to the grocery store and picked up a bunch of like dinosaur egg candy." Or like, you know what I mean? Like something like very
Well,
specific. Like, wouldn't that have to be, you
specific
know,
details, things
yeah,
like that.
like super specific. Like, I'd be more in line with, let's say in 2000, you come to me, we're in late May. Okay. So I would have been in Asia. And like, let's say you're like, I'm JP. And I just want to tell you that I'm from the future. And I know that you didn't want to be stationed here. Like, you did not want to come here, but you're having the time of your life. And then I'd probably be like, "Oh, tell me more," you know?
Yeah,
So,
what
it's
if
gotta be
if I
something like
specific I remember things like that, that you specifically told me or that we talked
yeah,
about, and I threw out those details. You're gonna be like, "How in the world does this guy know that?"
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So,
So then I probably would believe that one. So,
okay.
what do you think when, like, Back to the Future, when, he's always like, "Marty, watch out for yourself, like, avoid yourself, we don't wanna screw up the space-time continuum," right? I think that's what it was. But then, I don't know if you've watched Project Almanac, but okay, so basically, this kid finds this video camera and it's got footage from the day that his dad died in a car accident, but it was a camcorder of, I think it was his, like a party or something. And the kid finds it and he sees himself in the mirror of the camcorder and he's like, that's me now, but that's my party as a kid. He's like, I think all this stuff that I found in this box with this camera, and of course, I'm remembering this from like, I don't know, 5 years ago.
Okay.
But he's like, "I think we're supposed to create time travel with this." Like, I think that's what my dad was doing on the way to go pick something up from the party, and so then him and his, like, really smart, super smart science kids, I think, like, they all make the time traveling machine, and they're like, "Okay, we have a rule, like, if we time travel, we all time travel together. No one's left behind, we're not jumping without each other." And so for the most part, like, they're following all the rules, but then the kid who found the camera, they all went to, like, a festival, and he was disappointed of how the day went, and so he time traveled back to try and get up the courage to, like, kiss the chick he had a crush on or whatever, and then when he comes back, of course, he didn't travel with anybody else, then everything's messed up, there's alternate timelines. So, like, he remembers different things than other people remember, and then one of the girls runs into herself and, like, disappears, like, boom, she just disappears. Her old self and her new self saw each other, like, they couldn't be in the timeline any longer, so she just disappeared, like, she's gone, right?
Well, that's crazy.
I know,
Well
isn't it, like, kinda make you think, like, "Whoa, like, what is it?" Because you can't exist while you're there, right?
well, talking about timelines, that's what this John Titor said. So, basically, there's different parallel universes, you might say. There's theories, yeah, there's different timelines. So, if you went back, you may alter and then create a new timeline, but that there's also parallel timelines to where in one you may be a doctor, and then in another you may be the same thing you are now, right? Mother and kids, but it might be slightly different.
Mhm.
Some of them might be the same, some might be drastically different. So,
That's the plot to, Another Earth. She's celebrating some scientific thing that she discovered or did or whatever. On the way home, she, like, sees that the Earth split in 2, or no, like, there's a second one, and then she's distracted by watching it, and she, like, gets in an accident, and she had been drinking because she was celebrating, and so she accidentally killed some guy's wife and kid, right? But then later finds out there's another version where all this didn't happen. she's a successful scientist and she didn't go to jail like she did where she had the driving while intoxicated. But yeah, so then the what was it? The old her who was in jail got in contact with like the other planet and was able to like have the guy whose wife and kid are deceased like go see the ones that weren't so he could get some closure. So I was like, "Oh, that's really special."
Yeah, that's interesting too. I mean, all of those, like that, you were talking about. I guess that would be like the grandfather paradox too. Like if you went back and were able to see yourself or meet yourself, your
Yeah,
your older you. I
like Biff
right, yeah,
of the
exactly.
future.
Yeah, I don't like I said, I don't believe in it in that sense. I think there is more technology than we know or can
Yeah.
understand. You
Well, this
know,
will say our brains are capable of, like, way more than we use them.
the stuff they're doing at CERN, like over in the on the Swiss France border over in Europe, they have this particle hadron collider where they basically take all these, particles and move them at the speed of light, and they're doing all these different experiments with gravity and
Mm,
who knows what
yeah,
they're saying they're going to create some sort of a black hole. They found this Higgs boson particle and like invisible energy fields and all these different things. So who knows, what actual type of technology we have
right.
and what we can actually do or open other
It's all top secret
dimensions.
stuff that you and I will never know.
No, who knows what's going on right now, with all these, yeah,
Yeah.
secret military experiments and all that.
So, speaking of France, so, do you remember I sent you that TikTok where it says, "A teenager in Lyon, France, she experienced an alternate life." So, she woke up from a 3-week
Yeah.
coma believing she had raised children for 7 years in an alternate life. Now she needs therapy to deal with the grief of losing them. So, I mean, maybe time travel is more like in dream state, but I wonder this sometimes, like, are you in another life when you're sleeping?
I've had
I
some
mean,
vivid dreams and then you have deja vu, like, it's almost, "Did this happened before?"
yeah,
Or and I don't do they say you dream in color? Or no, like, I dream in color a lot.
I think I dream in color. I'm pretty sure I do. And they also say that you will never see a person that you've never seen before, whether it's just a person you've seen on the street or in a commercial or in real life. You're never going to see
Really?
someone that you've never seen before. Yeah. Yep.
I think that's minds,
Yeah?
yeah, I mean, whatever you're thinking about during the day, whatever your brain is going through, they say we only use whatever the
So much.
percentages of our brain.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and what is all that for? I think there's a lot that we don't understand. I think it's a lot more supernatural
Yeah.
than we can understand. And like you're saying, some people, whether they wake up from a coma or during surgeries, they die for a minute and they
Yeah.
have these memories or visions. What is that? I think there's something to it.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, can you imagine like maybe being in a coma for I mean, this chick was only for 3 weeks, but like what if you're in a coma for like 5 years and then you wake up and you basically have lived an entire life in your head and now like let's say in your dream you're dying, so you woke up and you had a whole family and a whole life, you had pets, maybe raised zebras or something like I don't know, but all of a sudden now you're like, "Oh,
To be free
crap. What is this?" Yeah.
or to understand.
Yeah. It's wild. It kinda makes me wonder, or what if, like, when we die, then we just go to, like, another what you're talking about, like, maybe a different plane of existence or even, like, a different hierarchy of being or something? There's just
There has to be. There has
yeah.
to, right? And this is going to lead right into my question for you
Yeah. Okay.
about other dimensions, other realms,
Yeah.
other worlds. I believe in the Bible and I believe there's a spirit world. We're not the only created beings, right?
Yeah. I think
Angels,
it would be silly.
demons.
Yeah.
It,
I think it'd be silly to, like, not think there's anything else out there,
What is
you
all that?
know?
What are all these other, galaxies and stars, and
Right.
where does it go? Where does it end? Does it end?
Yeah. Is it just
So,
infinite space?
my question for you is, do you believe in the spirit world? Do you believe in ghosts?
So, this is kind of like a tough one because I think growing up, I wasn't necessarily afraid of ghosts or anything, but I was afraid of horror movies. So, like, I'm gonna mention some of them here, and okay, notably horror movies and obviously child of the 80s, 90s, Gen X,
Right.
slash Zennial,
Yep.
whatever. I had a lot of latchkey moments. I was home alone by myself a lot. So, like, when it turned nighttime and I dared to watch these scary movies, or even if I was just alone, I remember I would, like, turn off a light and then run to the next one, and then turn off that light, and then run down the hallway to my room, and then turn
Sure.
off the light, and then like, I was terrified of, like, what might be in the dark, but I always thought it would be some, I don't know, like, Freddy Krueger or something, like, not necessarily like a ghost, but
Sure.
yeah, but I may have had, some paranormal experiences.
Okay.
We first moved into my house was built in, like, 1923, so it's over 100 years old. We kinda liked it for its craftsman style charm and all that. Yeah, it's definitely a historical house. But after being on the house for a couple weeks, having things kind of freshly unpacked, I coulda swore I heard, like, somebody playing a violin or something.
What?
And yeah, like, in the hallway, and I sat up and I'm like, "Am I hearing things?" Or, I don't know.
Sure it
So
wasn't
I
your
didn't really. Huh?
it wasn't your phone, was it? Like a
No, it wasn't. No, it definitely was not my phone. No, like,
okay.
no, I have no violin stuff on my phone. But I didn't really think anything of it until, we have this neighbor who has lived in his house since, I think, the '60s, so he knew the original owners,
Okay.
and we were talking to him, and he's like, Connie, Margie died in your bedroom." And I was like,
Oh,
"God
no.
dang it, Jeff, like, I don't need to hear that." And he's like, "What? People die in houses all the time. What do you think happens, Connie?" And I was like, I don't know what I think happens. I just don't wanna hear about it happening in my house." But he's like, "Yeah, Margie, she used to go up and down those stairs on her hands and knees because she was afraid of falling and dying that way." And it's a bitch getting old, I think. So
Yeah, just why don't you tell me that right before I'm ready to go to sleep? Yeah.
right, right.
Oh,
No,
gee.
but I asked him, I said, "Did she play any musical instruments?" He's like, "I really couldn't tell you." But so then sometimes I think, like, what if it was her? I don't know. But that's probably the extent of, like, ghosts, but the spiritual stuff. Okay, let me back up a minute here. So, have you heard of, like, the Annabelle doll?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's being kept in Connecticut, and all the stuff relating to the Annabelle doll and the people who eventually were Annabelle's owners, the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine, and they did a lot of paranormal investigations in Connecticut, I think, because that's the state they were from. But then they became, like, better known and branched off into, I think, maybe the East Coast and other places in the country. But anyways, Ed, he was a self-professed demonologist. That'd be just like somebody down the street like, "Hey, I know a lot about demons. I'm a demonologist," like, that's my credential, right? And then his wife, Lorraine, she was a self-professed medium, and she and Ed worked together to, like, investigate paranormal activity. Okay, so for Ed, he grew up in a haunted house, so that's why I guess he said he was like a demonologist, and she had been seeing people since she was a child or something like that, so that's why she was a medium. But they investigated like 10,000 cases, and those cases inspired movies like The Conjuring, Annabelle, the Amityville Horror, and by
Really?
the way, I've not seen any of these because they were too scary for me to watch.
Haven't
So,
either.
okay, so Annabelle, the Raggedy Ann doll, right? So Annabelle's story is that she was given to a nursing student by her mother, and so this nursing student and her friend who she, like, roomed with, they both had this doll, and it would usually sit on, like, their couch or a chair in their living room, but then they noticed that the doll would, like, switch positions, they'd leave and it would be in a different position, and both of them swore they weren't doing it. They weren't changing the doll any sort of positions. I guess the doll eventually ended up leaving them notes saying things like, "Help us." So, yeah, they decided after that kind of stuff started happening that they had to do a seance. So they had a medium come in. Yeah, and and of course, the seance reveals, and I say this loosely, reveals that Annabelle's family lived on the land that the nursing students were staying on, and Annabelle's lifeless body was found in a field somewhere near there. They don't know if it was murder or what, but it kinda sounds like it because, again, this medium says her name is Annabelle and she was 7. So, I don't know. Anybody who does this kinda stuff, like, I can respect your work, but yeah, like, I don't know if I believe it because especially back in the '70s, like, "Oh, yeah, let me come in your house for $10 and I'll tell you that this doll's name is Annabelle and she was 7 and she lived on this property and was found dead in a cornfield," or
That's a
whatever,
freaky
right?
story, but I mean,
Yeah,
that doll would have been
yeah,
in a bonfire the minute it left
right.
me some sort
Well,
of note.
so after the seance, then I think things kind of escalated a little bit. So one of the nurses was dating this guy named Lou, and every time he stayed over, he would wake up in cold sweats. And one time he said that he woke up to Annabelle strangling him and he couldn't breathe and he couldn't scream for anyone, but he swears it happened. And another time he got gashes on his chest. And so the nursing students are like, this is getting way too out of hand. And so they called some priests, and the priests were like, we don't want anything to do with this doll. But you know who would want something to do with the doll? The Warrens. So they called the Warrens up, and of course the Warrens come and they're like, "Oh yeah, like actually this doll is not a child. This doll is a demon." Yeah.
And I do
So
believe that.
what are your thoughts so far? What do you think?
Well, I do believe that's, I think a lot of evil things that we see happening in the world today are the product of evil and demons,
Yeah,
whether
I agree.
possessing people, right? Possessing things. And we think of it as all the people are crazy, they
Yeah.
belong in a male ward or whatever. But how do you know it's not
Like, is that evil covered up?
right? And I don't think, I wouldn't mess around with seances and
Right. Me
trying
neither.
to no,
Yeah.
I think that's scary. I mean, I do believe there's a spirit world, I believe
Yeah.
there's, like I said, angels, demons. I don't know if, my grandfather always used to joke around before he passed away. He used to say, all the mysteries of the universe, I'm not going to be hanging around the back of the funeral home saying, "Oh my god, I can't believe this guy didn't show up."
Yeah, oh, yeah. Right.
Well, I'm not sure if, there's ghosts just hanging around listening to the podcast right now,
Right, yeah.
right? You're listing off all those other countries, and maybe we have different dimensions listening to us right now.
Right.
But evil ones
In
stay
the
away.
other category, right? The
Ah,
other category.
no, we only want the good ones. But yeah, I don't think that's anything to mess around. That's creepy stuff.
Well, so, okay, so here's what happened. They take the doll, and instantly, when they get the doll in their car, they're driving the doll away. Their car starts swerving, the brakes stop working, and of course, Ed has the wherewithal to, like, grab a bottle of holy water and splash it on Annabelle, and then everything stops,
Okay.
right? Everything magically stops. They got her back to the house. They kinda let her sit on chairs and stuff until she started, like, harming people, and people wind up with gashes, and I think there was, like, a priest that came to the house and was like, "Annabelle, dolls don't act like this." And so Ed was like, "You don't talk to the doll that way. Please don't do that. That doll will hurt you." Well, so then on the way home, he got in a car accident, right? And then there was another couple who, well, so I think after that happened, that's when they put her in the box because she's so dangerous. She needs to be kept permanently inside this custom built wooden and glass display case. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. But there was like a guy and his girlfriend, they came on motorcycle and they were like, "Pff, we don't believe in any of this. This is crazy. This is whatever. This is all fake." And they started pounding on the Annabelle doll box.
Okay.
And yeah, and they're like, "I wouldn't do that if I were you." So on the way they're leaving the place, runs his motorcycle into a tree, he dies, and his girlfriend is in the hospital recovering for a year.
What?
So people are like, "Oh yeah, that doll is dangerous." But okay, so back to the box though real quick. The case is inscribed in the Lord's Prayer. It features multiple crosses to keep the entity contained. It has a sign on it that says, "Positively do not open." So clearly, like, do not open it. And then only specific people are allowed to handle, clean the box, maintain it, all that. Like, they had to be trained in all of these specific ways. They maintain the space around the box by sprinkling holy water, reading specific prayers that bind dark forces. Yeah. So,
And so this box and doll still exist?
yeah, it still exists. In 2025, it actually went on tour. And that was a big deal too. I remember I was on the TikToks and I was like, why? Of all the things.
Anything bad happened on this tour? A bunch of everybody who went to
So
the
it's all like
I
I think they've debunked a lot of it, but one of them was okay, so first of all, the tour is called the Devils on the Run tour across the United States, right? Like, and I remember I was like, "Please put Annabelle back. Please put Annabelle back. She does not need to be touring the United States. Like, don't do it." But anyways, like, one of her handlers suddenly died after their stop in Gettysburg after overseeing a ghost hunt. He took her on a ghost hunt. Like, why would you take her to do that? Like, come on. But then later discovered, like, it was cardiac arrest, right? And then in Louisiana, there were several fires, like, one was the Nottoway I remember this, the Nottoway plantation in Louisiana, burnt to the ground. It was one of the largest remaining antebellum plantations. Like, it was kind of a big deal because this was built by slaves, right? 1859. And then there was also like a kitchen fire that broke out in the Voodoo Queen Marie Laveau on the site where she used to live. So that was kind of a big deal too. But these are all like speculation and could be coincidentally with like the doll being there, like, the day before. But
Yeah, I think
yeah,
some stories coulda got added to that, maybe some
yeah,
exaggerations.
yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think and I don't know about a doll, you know? But again,
Well
evil spirits, demons, yeah, I
well, and
think
a lot of people too, like, after the Warrens' health started declining, because 'cause they're not alive anymore, like, the wife, I think she died in 2019, and then he had died several years before she had, but
okay.
skeptics started coming out of the woodwork, and they were like, "Hey, they exploited my family." Like, they fabricated evidence. They came to my house saying all this stuff was happening, even though they wouldn't charge for an investigation. Like, okay, so this is how the Warrens would operate. They would look in the newspapers and see if there is paranormal activity being reported. They'd go to the house. Ed would sketch the house looking all spooky. And then he would come to the door and be like, "Hey, I sketched your house. Do you want to see the picture?" And they'd come in, and then Lorraine would come in and she'd sit on like the furniture of their bed and get a feel for all the medium stuff she was about to start doing. And so, yeah, people were like, were they planting evidence? Were they making stuff up? Because you know how much money they probably made off of those movies?
Yeah, that's
And
a scam.
yeah,
I mean, but if somebody came up to your door right now and said, "Okay, look at this. I sketched a picture of your house," you
I'd be
know,
like,
yeah,
get
well,
bent.
that's nice. You better start walking
Yeah,
through my yard and down the street right now.
right, right. Get out of here. But
Yeah.
like people didn't have to be as guarded as nowadays. I don't think like people were just so much nicer in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, I guess if that was back in the '70s.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, that's really cool. Also, we've had some problems. Can you help us with our demon?
Plus, it might have
So
some serious drugs. So who
yeah,
knows
right?
too? Some extracurricular activities.
Ugh, man.
But that's why I think you shouldn't mess around with Ouija boards or any of those things
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
I mean,
We had we had one, I don't even remember who bought it. There was one in my house, which later I kinda found was weird because like, my family was Catholic. I mean, not super Catholic, but we were Catholic, you
yeah.
know? So I thought it was kinda weird that that was there. I'm sure my mom probably saw it on she was, like, a big sale shopper, so she probably saw it and was like, "Oh, this'll be fun for the kids to play with." Well, so I remember it was, like, me and my 2 best friends, like, my senior year, and we're using the Ouija board and asking it questions like, "How old are we gonna be when we die?" And I remember they got to me and I was like, "La, la, 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 I do not want to know." And they were like, "Oh, don't worry, you're gonna be super old." I'm like, "That's all I need to hear." That's all I need to hear." Like, but and then I think later, like, gosh, why like,
Now, if you
wow.
pull a board out and you put that little piece on, and the piece just started moving around by itself,
I don't remember it moving by itself. I don't.
but people put their hands on it and they're moving it around, and
Yeah,
I don't think so.
yeah, yeah. So, I think I had a demon encounter when I was in the military.
Okay.
So, yeah, I lived in this house and my ex-husband and I had, a baby and she was maybe a year old at this point in time and she was crying and she wouldn't go back to bed. And so I walked across the living room to go get her and everything was fine then. And then I picked her up out of her crib, got a bottle for her, was feeding her a bottle. I put her back to bed. And as I'm walking back across the living room, I just feel like something is watching me. And so I'm like, whatever, it's late, tired. And she starts crying again. And I'm like, okay, let me go get her. So I walk back across the living room. This time, like, I definitely feel like something's watching me. And so I get her and I'm like, she's staying in the bed with us. So I plop her down between me and my husband. And the instant I lay down, like, I'm frozen. I can't move. Like, I
What?
just can't move. Yeah. Like, I cannot move. And I remember I instantly thought over and over, "I believe in God, I believe in God, I believe in God, I believe in God," and, like, the more I said it, like, it lifted off of me, and so I was like, "I think that was a demon," and coincidentally, since it was, like, a military community, the next week, we found out that the owner of the house died in Iraq.
Get out.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, they say babies and animals can see things,
They do say that.
see
Yeah.
spirits,
Mhm.
that the dog sometimes will just be staring at the wall or looking around, what are they looking at?
Yeah.
So who knows? That's a scary one. I've never
Yeah.
had anything like that, although, and then my sister kinda that first story you told about being in the house, my sister, in the house that I grew up in, my parents' house, I think it was the owner, like, 2 owners previous to them, there was a guy that hung himself in the house. His
Oh.
name was Mr. Peterson. Yeah, and so my sister claims that one night she woke up, looked at the alarm clock or something like that. I'm probably telling the story wrong, but she's seen this guy with a real round, pudgy face and beady eyes and glasses and, bald head. And so one day my father was out talking to her next door neighbor, older lady that lived there when this same time this Mr. Peterson did. And he asked her just, you know, hey, by the way, what would that Mr. Peterson look like that used to live here? She said, oh yeah, he had like a round, pudgy face, beady eyes, and then we were all freaked out after that. But uh, who knows?
Yeah. So, I feel like I have to talk about, since I sent you today, the Salem witch,
Yes,
just
sure,
because
that was the
that
Salem witch or the lady from the American Pie movies. I think
yeah.
she's now. What's her name, the
So
actress?
so for those of you listening, I sent JP pictures today. I'm like, "This is the witch I met in Salem." He's like, "Whoa, she looks kinda" what did you say? She looks kinda weird or not weird.
Yeah, I said, is that Stifler's girlfriend? Her from the American Pie movie looks just like her.
Is that Stifler's mom?
But she did look like a weirdo.
Oh my gosh, like, so funny. I mean, she is very nice, but okay, so basically me and my best friend and this other chick that came with us to Boston, we did, like, a little mini day trip to Salem, and we go to the Charter Street Cemetery because when in Salem, you must go to the Charter Street Cemetery. And the cemetery itself was locked because it was like 5 o'clock at night and we were waiting for a ghost tour to start. And I see all these plaques and they're basically in remembrance of I think it's like 25 accused. Most of them I think were women. There might have been a couple men, but either way, I kind of wander up to the stone and I'm looking at it and this witch lady is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, did you want to take a picture of Sarah Good's whatever?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, but I kind of want to see what you're doing over here, because she had like a talisman and she was swinging it around over a book and stuff, and she's like, "Oh, well, I'm communicating with the accused," and she's like, "Actually, Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne say that I need to talk to you." And I was like, "Okay, whatever." And so she starts telling me I'm a very natural person. I can judge character really well. She's telling me other stuff that I'm like, "Oh, okay, like you could say this about anybody, whatever." But she's like, "Over your right shoulder, I just want you to know because they're very opinionated. There's 3 ladies that are always watching out for you, and one of them has fire red hair." And I was like, "Grandma Jerry, like freaking Grandma Jerry, you always have something to say about what I'm doing, or
I guess.
very opinionated." Yeah, and then the other one was my husband's granny, and the other one was my godmother that we had lost a few years before, and we were super close, and all 3 of them very opinionated, but love me to death, and I just I had goosebumps, and I didn't feel like she was trying to pull my leg or anything, and, she even was like, "I think you might be kind of clairvoyant," and I was like, "I don't know about that," but, and then my friend came back over, and she was like, "See, I told you she was gonna talk to her. Like, this is what she does. This is what Connie does. She finds people and she just talks to them." And I was like, And then she starts telling them all this stuff that, like, we're all getting goosebumps. And then she was like, "Well, it was nice to meet you guys, and I hope you enjoy Salem." Never asked us for money, none of that. And
It's an interesting story,
yeah.
you know. However, if the listeners out there would have seen the picture of this lady sent me today,
Go visit the Instagram, Connie and V.
and all you guys out there, Connie's having you believe that she's believing this crazy lady, but she wouldn't believe me when I came back to the year 2000 to tell her I was from the year 2026, you know?
Oh, man.
Good one. But again, why not only the supposed ladies, guys, whoever it was that were burned at the stake, but and that's wonderful, I hope your grandparents are looking over you, but what are they doing
Yeah.
hanging around over at the cemetery?
Yeah, like, why okay.
The
Well,
universe.
why aren't they passing on? Like, why are they just sticking around with me? I mean, that's awkward, like, "Go away, I got some intimate stuff I wanna do with, my
Right,
hubby over here." Like
exactly. You know? Yeah, that's crazy to think about alone. Are they always around?
yeah.
You don't
Do they
want
take
them around all
breaks?
the time.
Do they work in shifts? Like
They could ride, take a drive with me if I gotta go somewhere or something like that, or
Right.
hang out while I'm cutting the grass or maybe a glass of wine, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like, that's another thing too, like, if there are ghosts, is it like have you ever seen the TV show Ghosts?
Yes.
Oh, I love that show. Like, it's just I know it's, like, stupid funny, but I love stupid funny. Like, are they like that, where they just see everything you're doing, or are they just kinda, like, come and go? Are they bound to wherever they died, or are they like the car ghosts where, like, they go everywhere the car goes, you know? I
No,
don't
I
know.
I think they're whatever these other realms that we've been talking about tonight, or,
Yeah,
the Lord willing, heaven, that they're there and don't like I said, I think there's a whole 'nother level of understanding that we can't even comprehend, a whole another level of a supernatural realm and understanding, and the stuff that we're going through right now, they know that really doesn't matter
yeah,
when it comes down to it. So, although they, who knows, may feel for us in some way, I don't think that once you have that understanding and that peace, whatever it is, and then they know that if your car broke down or air conditioning went out or something like that, that's
Yeah.
only temporary.
Yeah. Let's say, like, there's a creepy person following you in a cemetery. Maybe they're there to protect you.
Could be, right?
Maybe.
Whole 'nother talk, guardian angels, you know?
Yeah.
Who knows? Or
Ooh.
people that you see on the street or someone that you help, is that some sort of test? Is that an angel?
Yeah. So side rabbit hole really quick. I mean,
Okay.
it kinda goes back to what we were first talking about, but, have you ever seen the movie with Christopher Reeve, A Moment in Time
I don't remember,
or Somewhere in Time? But I think it's, like, A Moment in Time,
but I'll have
but
to check it out.
this old lady comes up to him and gives him, like, a picture, I think, and he looks at it, and she says something like, "I miss you," or whatever, and he's like, "What the heck?" And he looks, and it's, like, a picture of him and this lady, right? And then he looks up all the stuff on time travel, and he figures out how to, like, time travel back to, like, when she was younger and they met.
Really?
Yeah, it is so good. Like,
It's like a good one.
oh my gosh, yeah, and then it, like, I'm I'm not gonna spoil it, but, like, at the end, I was like, "No!" So, you just have to watch it.
Might have seen it. Yeah, does it not have a happy ending? Is it like a bummer at the end?
I mean, it is kind of a bummer, but you remember Christopher Reeve in, like, period dress, like, dressed in old-timey clothes, you know?
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up.
I feel like it's like an '80s or '90s movie, but it was really good.
Okay.
So, yeah, watch
I'll
that, watch
definitely check it
Project Almanac.
out.
Um, yeah, let me know what you think of Project Almanac,
Okay.
like, it was crazy. Yeah. Yeah. At that, like, holy smokes, we've been at this for a while now. So, I
Right.
I know, I suppose we should end. JP, again, like, thanks for doing a solid coming on, man, like, it's been so fun.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I had a great time. No, it's an honor to be here.
Yeah, and, if I could figure out how to say goodbye in any of these languages, like Hungary, Netherlands, Singapore, but I'm not exactly sure, so, everyone have a g have a great week and, stay curious, and we'll see V next week, and Connie,
Right.
and
Looking forward.
and maybe JP another time, so
I hope.
I hope so too. This is
Anytime.
fun.
Thank you.
Alright. Alright.
All
Bye, everyone.
right.